on the United States preparations after Trump's threats of military action in Nigeria. Arise special correspondent James Blue joins us now from Washington, D.C.
Good morning. Good morning here in a chilly, rainy Washington, where there was a lot of surprise over the weekend. On Saturday, President Trump announced that he was potentially going to take strikes within Nigeria to protect Christians there. He then on Sunday, yesterday, actually reiterated his desire to protect Christians in Nigeria. And so we are beginning to wake up here in Washington with a lot of questions. Will there be U.S. military efforts in Nigeria?
Okay, James. Let me just, for purposes of clarification, is there any action against the groups responsible for sectarian violence, who would by necessity, the necessity for Nigerian intelligence getting assistance as they are so embedded into the country? Don't you think success will be very difficult without this intelligence element?
You know, you're absolutely right. The president has stated his desire to, potentially use military action, but as we all know, it would be very difficult and actually impossible to do any action within Nigeria without the support of Nigerian intelligence. Policy analysts here believe that this is an opportunity for Nigeria to partner with the United States, with the United States Department of War, as it's now called, to try to figure out what could be done jointly. Sharing of intelligence, sharing of information, sharing of strategies for the U.S. and for Nigeria to partner and to do something together. I think it would be very, very unlikely for the U.S. to move within Nigeria militarily on its own.
Thank you, James. The president's team would, by necessity, need small teams, possibly from a joint task force, Horn of Africa. Don't you think this is the kind of operation they specialize in?
Yes, it is absolutely the operation that the JTF Horn of Africa, which is based in Djibouti, Camp Lemonnier, this is their specialty. I had the really good fortune a few years ago to make one of the first visits by television journalists to that camp. And basically what it has done through the years is to fight insurgencies across the African continent. And these are small strike forces that have gone into countries and really, with the support of the local government, of the local military, of the local intelligence, have been able to sort of put an end to some of these insurgent movements. I think the challenge in this instance is, how would you do that in a country as large as Nigeria, where these incidents are happening in different places, and as you know, in some urban places. And so, yes, there is expertise within the region, but the question is, could it act independently? Could it act without the support of Nigerian intelligence? That seems highly impossible.
So U.S. African Command is based in Germany, and are they officials? Are they aware of this development already, James?
Yeah, they are aware of it in the same way that we're all aware of it. We've learned it through the tweets of the president on his Truth Social media app. And so, of course, if something were to happen, African Command, which is based in Germany, would certainly know more about it. You know, if you look at sort of the way President Trump has operated most recently with the attacks on ships that have been hauling drugs in the Atlantic and in the Pacific, those things happened without any mention of the fact that they were going to happen. They were just sort of really done on surprise. So in some ways, some policy analysts are saying that the fact that the president has announced his desire to do this is a real opportunity for Nigeria. You will note that the U.S. and South Africa have in the past been very, very close allies. That relationship is changing. You will recall the president of South Africa visited the Oval Office with two South African golfers And really, President Trump sort of created a show about the number of white South Africans who've been murdered. The facts were not exactly accurate. In fact, they were quite off. But in a surprise move, the refugee numbers that the U.S. has agreed to admit moving forward for this year is now 7,500. That's the lowest it's ever been. And those numbers are largely reserved for white South Africans. And so that relationship has soured. Some people are suggesting that Nigeria could seize the moment, find the partnership, and really embrace this offer and really work with the United States to find a way to move forward together.
But even if Nigeria decides to accept this move by President Trump, what would this mean for U.S.-Nigeria relations? That is the question.
I think that's a good question. And I think, given Nigeria's reliance on oil, given President Trump's real desire to continue to import oil and continue to use oil instead of more green energy sources, I think there could be an opening for a real partnership. I think the challenge, as you know, Nigeria is a large country with many, many groups. And, in the South, it is primarily Christian. In the North, it is primarily Muslim. And so I think the characterization of Christian lives being under attack around the country, I think that's a bit of an overstatement. However, I do think that there is an opportunity for Nigeria interests and Nigerian diplomats to find a way to embrace the interests and use the interests to the country's advantage.
Okay, thank you very much, James Blue, reporting from Washington, D.C. for Arise News. Thank you.